Throughout my school life, I was terrified of public speaking. I avoided any opportunity I had to come up on stage at any event and speak publicly. In my high school, we had some of the country's finest debate teams. Some of those folks graduated and went on to become famous TV anchors. I remember being in one of those debate sessions once and just being in complete awe. I was amazed by the level of confidence these speakers had. I was astounded at how they could speak like that in front of hundreds of strangers. I wanted to be able to speak like them, but I was terrified of even trying, of even starting. The bar is too high, I thought, and I didn't even try. Then I went on to university to study mechanical engineering, and there was a debating team there as well. And even though they were quite supportive and encouraged new students to join, I didn't take the plunge. I wanted to, but the irrational fear of humiliating myself was more than the joy of achievement. So 4 years went by and I didn't do it once. Then I started my professional life. A few years into my job, my HR colleagues asked me if I'd be interested to go on a recruitment drive with them to my former university, my alma mater, and give a small talk about our organization. By now, I had some practice in delivering presentations and some training, and I had also been reading several books which influenced my mind in a positive way. I no longer thought that my abilities were fixed, so I thought I'd take a crack at it. Before going to this event, I approached one of the best public speakers I knew, one of the most confident leaders in the organization, and I asked him for advice. He was also a former graduate of the same university. I'll share his advice and how it went at the end of the video, so stick around. But the cause of me not being able to even attempt public speaking is something called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is the mental model we're talking about today. The famous psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman placed dogs in a box where they were shocked at random intervals. Then he placed them in a similar box, but in this box the design was such that they could easily escape. But they didn't. They just lay down and waited for the shocks to end. On the other hand, there was a completely different group of dogs that weren't given the shocks before putting them in the second box, so they hadn't learned helplessness and they quickly jumped out of the box. So learned helplessness is when we think we're incapable of doing or learning certain things, like my example of public speaking. Other examples can be learning a new language, a new software at work, adapting to a new job, moving to a new country, learning to drive, and I bet you can think of a few people in your social circle whose careers can be faster if they switch jobs once in a while. Or people who just say, I'm not tech savvy, even though it's not that hard to learn a couple of basic apps like using Uber to move around the city. It's not impossible. Now, of course, some coaching and mentorship may be required, but the point is that it is not impossible. Our skills and capabilities are not fixed. The neurons in our brain are capable of change. We can make small updates to our operating system. It's not meant to stay stagnant in version 2002. Now coming back to the advice that I got. The advice I got was to build rapport through a joke. He said, build rapport with the audience at the start of your talk, and I asked, how do I do that so quickly? He said, a short, funny anecdote or a joke that helps them see that you're not so different from them. So once the HR team gave a quick intro, I started with, in UET, which was the name of my university, in UET, I built my life and found my wife. Now I know it's not great, but I got a long applause. And then my short talk went pretty smooth after that. Even though I'm no Martin Luther King Jr. or Barack Obama when it comes to public speaking, but at least I'm less scared and now I can do it. So in which areas are you suffering from learned helplessness? Who can help you get out of it? I'll see you tomorrow.